week, we were all saddened by the passing of Vikings legend Jim Marshall. The Vikings Iron Man was iconic on the field, but away from the game, he was still legendary and forever will be known as Mr. Viking. I had a chance to chat with his teammate Chuck Foreman, who arrived here with the Vikings during Marshall's heyday. Chuck says there was no one else like Captain Jim.
Jim Marshall is the face of the Minnesota Vikings when it comes to who is a Viking. You know, Gary Larson looked like a Viking, but Jim Marshall was everything you would think of to be a Viking. If you would never want to go anywhere without him. If you had to go someplace and to survive, you want Jim Marshall by your side because you know you would make it out.
Marshall arrived in Minnesota when the Vikings were born back in '61. He became the face of the franchise, an iconic player who never left 19 seasons. But before he decided enough was enough, during that time, he made an everlasting impression on all of his teammates, including Chuck Foreman.
When I come to Minnesota, and for my first practice from the college all-star game, and I walk on the practice field, I'm nervous anyway. But then I'm walking out, and then I'm having to line up for some drills, and you got the purple people eaters up there. The greatest defensive line that was ever assembled. The greatest bunch of guys ever assembled. And, you know, I'm like, in awe of these guys, I was like, I didn't even want to run by them. I would just say, excuse me. You know what I mean? I just like, but that's the kind of aura they had, and Jim was the guy that created it. He was the guy that even the linemen, you know, it was Jim, and Jim was the leader. He was the leader of the entire team.
And about that streak, 282 consecutive games, Marshall was there, an NFL record at that time. Chuck never doubted that he would be on the field each Sunday, but there was one time.
I remember one game, I think I remember he was in the hospital. You know, the night, they say, man, they took Jim to the hospital. I'm like, what? Yeah, well, 12 o'clock, guess who was running on the field? They went and took the ambulance. I think that's the story. They took the ambulance, went and got him out of the hospital, brought him back to the stadium. He suited up. He was good to go. I'm telling you, this guy was unique in every way. And I'm sure there might be someone close to who he is or was. I don't know if there's any more like him that I've ever met anyway.
Under Marshall's leadership, the Vikings went to 4 Super Bowls, and the Purple People Eaters became the most feared foursome in the NFL. And Foreman knows it was all because of number 70.
He was tough. He was stoic. He was smart. You know, if you had to go to battle, a Viking, you know, you think of a Viking, you think of the Viking worship, you think of the Vikings, you know, these big guys with these, you know, but he would have been a big black guy with a white beard. You know what I mean? That was leading the way. And you know you could follow him because at the end, you knew he would win. I mean, this is the kind of guy that he was. He was unique. It was a great, special privilege to be a teammate with Jim Marshall.